Good day everyone, I am Renalyn Kirante and today I will be discussing the topic Rizal and other Filipino heroes. This lesson focuses on understanding how different Filipino heroes contributed to the development of nationalism, patriotism, and the struggle for freedom during the Spanish colonial period. Although Jose Rizal is recognized as the national hero of the Philippines, this topic emphasizes that Philippine independence was not achieved by one person. Instead, it was the result of collective sacrifice made by many Filipinos who showed heroism in different forms. Some heroes used education and writing, others led revolutions, some fight as soldiers while others serve quietly through moral courage and community support. By studying Rizal together with Andres Bonifacio, Emilio Jacinto, Emilio Aguinaldo, Apolinario Mabini, Antonio Luna, Gumborza and the Tres Martires, and Melchora Aquino, can we better understand that heroism is not limited to one rule or a class. By the end of this video, you should be able to explain the concept of heroism in the Philippine history, identify the different types of heroism, understand the historical and social conditions during Spanish colonization, describe the contribution of Rizal and other Filipino heroes, and explain and apply key terms and concepts, and relate the values of heroes in present-day teaching and citizenship. First, let's tackle the concept of heroism in the Philippine history. Now, what is heroism? Heroism in the Philippine context is best understood as a conscious, voluntary, and selfless commitment to serve the nation, even when it leads to personal suffering, punishment, or death. Filipino heroes did not act for fame, reward, or recognition. Many of them were exiled, imprisoned, tortured, executed. Despite this risk, they chose to stand for their beliefs and for the welfare of the Filipino people. Unlike Western ideas of heroism that often focus on individual achievement and personal glory, Filipino heroism is collective and value-oriented. It emphasizes shared responsibility and community values such as kapwa, bayanihan, at pagmamahal sa bayan. So this means that even ordinary citizens can become heroes through service, courage, and sacrifice. Now let's talk the types of heroism. Tackled first the intellectual heroism by Dr. Jose Rizal. Intellectual heroism emphasizes the power of ideas, education, writing, and critical thinking as tools against oppression. Jose Rizal believed that ignorance was one of the strongest weapons of colonial rule. As long as Filipinos remained uneducated and unaware of injustice, they would continue to be controlled. Rizal used his novels The No Limitang Hire and El Filibusterismo to expose corruption, abuse for friars, social inequality, and the suffering of Filipinos under Spanish rule. He did not encourage violent revolution. Instead, he believed that education awakened consciousness, awareness leads to reform, reform can lead to freedom. However, intellectual heroism requires courage. Rizal's writing angered Spanish authorities, leading to his execution. This proves that ideas can threaten unjust system as much as weapons. Next type of heroism is that revolutionary or grassroots heroism by Andres Bonifacio and Emilio Jacinto. Revolutionary or grassroots heroism involves organizing the masses and empowering ordinary Filipinos to fight for freedom. Andres Bonifacio believed that waiting for reforms was no longer enough. He founded the Katipunan, a secret organization that aimed to end Spanish rule through armed revolution. And Emilio Jacinto, known as the brains of the Katipunan, helped shape its ideals and principles, emphasizing equality, unity, and patriotism. So this type of heroism teaches us that freedom cannot be colonizers. Independence must be claimed by people, and ordinary citizens have power when united. The third types of heroism is that military heroism by Antonio Luna, Gregorio del Pilar, Emilio Aguinaldo. So those heroes are military. So military heroism refers to the bravery, discipline, leadership, and sacrifice in armed struggle. So General Antonio Luna believed that victory required discipline, unity, and organization. He wanted a professional Filipino army capable of defending the nation. Military heroes not only fight for battles, they protected the civilians, maintained order, inspired courage and loyalty. Their sacrifices shows that freedom often requires strategy, leadership, and selflessness. The four types of heroism is moral and religious heroism, Motong Gomborse and the Tris Martinez. Moral heroism involves standing up for truth, justice, and conscience, even when it leads to death. So, the term Gomborsa refers to the Father Gomez, Borges, and Zamora were falsely accused executed in 1872. Their martyrdom awakened Filipino nationalism and deeply influenced Jose Rizal. The Tres Martires of Cavite were ordinary Filipinos executed for supporting the revolution. Their death proved that heroism is not limited to famous names. The last type of heroism is civic and community heroism by Melchora Aquino. Civic heroism focuses on service rather than violence. Melchora Aquino, or known as the Tandang Sora, supported revolutionaries by providing food, shelter, medical care, and encouragement. Her actions sustained the revolution and showed that heroism can exist in every act of service. Let's discuss deeper to the other Filipino heroes in the Philippines. First is Dr. Jose P. Rizal. Dr. Jose P. Rizal, he was born on June 19, 1861 in Calamba, Laguna. He is the national hero of the Philippines and is known for his intellectual resistance against Spanish colonial rule. His novels are No Limitang Here and El Filibusterismo. Jose Rizal is recognized as the national hero of the Philippines because his life and works inspired Filipino to develop a sense of nationalism without promoting violence. He believed that true freedom begins with education and awareness. Unlike revolutionaries who use weapons, Rizal chose peaceful reforms. He believed that exposing injustice and educating Filipinos would eventually lead to meaningful change. Next Filipino heroes is Andres Bonifacio. Andres Bonifacio was born on November 30, 1863 in Tondo, Manila, one of the poorest districts during the Spanish colonial period. Unlike many ilustrados, Bonifacio came from the working class, and his life experience as an ordinary Filipino greatly shaped his views on freedom, equality, and revolution. At a young age, Bonifacio experienced hardship. He worked as a warehouse clerk and salesman to support his family after early death of his parents. So despite limited formal education, He was self-educated, reading books on history, politics, and the ideals of freedom and equality. This shows that leadership and nationalism are not dependent on wealth or formal school. Bonifacio is best known as the founder of the Katipunan, officially called Kataas-Taasang Kagalang-galangang Katipunan na mga anak ng bayan. He established the secret revolutionary organization in 1892 after realizing that peaceful reforms under Spanish rule were no longer effective. Next is Apolinario Mabini. Apolinario Mabini was born on July 23, 1864 in Tanawan, Batangas. During the height of Spanish colonial rule in the Philippines, he grew up in a poor family which allowed him to experience firsthand and hardships and inequalities faced by ordinary Filipinos under colonial oppression. Despite these difficulties, Mabini showed exceptional intelligence and determination, especially in his pursuit of education. Through perseverance and hard work, Mabini was able to study law, and his education shaped his deep understanding of justice, governance, and national sovereignty. His intellectual ability later became one of the greatest strengths of the Philippine Revolution. Next, General Antonio Luna. General Antonio Luna was born on October 29, 1866 in Binondo, Manila, a district known for its cultural diversity and commercial activity during the Spanish colonial period. He grew up in an educated family which allowed him to develop strong foundation in learning, science, and critical thinking. From an early age, Luna showed intelligence, discipline, and a strong sense of nationalism, traits that later defined his role as a military leader. So Antonio Luna represents military heroism and disciplined leadership. He showed that defending freedom requires strategy and intelligence, discipline and professionalism, unity among leaders and citizens. His life teaches us that nationalism must be supported by competence and integrity. Next, Melchora Aquino. Melchora Aquino was born on January 6, 1812 in Bantat, Caloocan during the early years of Spanish colonial rule in the Philippines. She lived a simple life as a farmer and a store owner, far removed from politics or welfare. However, her ordinary background did not prevent her from becoming one of the most important heroes in the Philippine Revolution. She is affectionately known as the Tandang Sora, a Filipino term meaning respected elder. This name reflects not only her old age but also the deep respect she earned from revolutionaries and ordinary Filipinos alike. Melchora Aquino is honored as the mother of the Katipunan because she provided essential support to members of the Katipunan, the revolutionary organization founded by Andres Bonifacio. Although she did not carry weapons or lead armies, her home became a safe refuge for revolutionaries. She played a vital behind-the-scene role that helped sustain the revolutionary movement. This title highlights that heroism is not limited to fighters. Women played crucial roles in the revolution, and care and service can be powerful forms of resistance. Melchora Aquino represents both civic heroism and moral heroism. So now let's talk on what is civic heroism. Civic heroism means. Civic heroism involves serving the community and supporting national causes through nonviolent means. Tandang Sora showed civic heroism by providing food to hungry revolutionaries, offering shelter to those hiding from Spanish authority, and giving medical care to the wounded. Her actions kept the Katipunan strong even during difficult times. So now, moral heroism. So what is moral heroism? Moral heroism means standing for what is right despite personal risk. When Spanish authorities discovered her activities, Melchora Aquino was arrested, interrogated, and exiled to Guam. Despite her advanced age, she refused to betray the Katipunan. Her courage shows deep moral strength and loyalty to the cause of freedom. Next is, let's talk the Gumborza. So Gumborza refers to the fathers Marciano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora, three Filipino Catholic priests who were executed on February 17, 1872, during the Spanish colonial period in the Philippines. Their execution is considered one of the most tragic and, and influential events in the Philippine history because it exposed the deep injustices of Spanish rule and awakened Filipino nationalism. The execution of Gomborza was connected to the Cavite Mutiny in 1872, a short-lived uprising by Filipino soldiers and workers in the Cavite arsenal. The mutiny was mainly caused by removal of privilege such as tax and labor exemption, harsh working condition, abuse of power by Spanish authorities. Although the mutiny was limited and quickly suppressed, Spanish officials used it as an opportunity to silence Filipino reformers and intimidate the growing nationalist movement. Father Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora were falsely accused of being involved in the Cavite Mutiny. In reality, there was no solid evidence linking them to uprising. Their target became they advocate reforms and equality for Filipino clergy. Spanish authorities viewed Filipino priests as a threat because they challenged the dominance of Spaniards, friars, and demanded equal treatment. Their trial was unjust and biased. They were denied proper legal defense and were quickly sentenced to death. On February 17, 1872, Gomborza were executed by garrote at Bagong Bayan, now gitawag na siya og Luneta. Their execution shocked Filipino across the country. Their public execution served as a warning from the Spanish government. However, instead of silencing resistance, it ignited anger, sympathy, and awareness among Filipinos. One of the most important impact of Gomborza's execution was on Jose Rizal. As a young boy, Rizal witnessed the effect of their execution in Filipino society. Years later, Rizal dedicated his novel El Filibusterismo to the memory of Gomborza. This dedication was his way of honoring their sacrifice and condemning colonial injustice. Through this dedication, Rizal showed that their deaths were not forgotten, their sacrifice inspired future resistance, and intellectual resistance grew from moral injustice. So the three martyrs refers to the 13 Filipino patriots from the province of Cavite who were arrested, tortured, and executed by Spanish authorities in 1896 because of their involvement in the Philippine Revolution. Their execution took place during a time when the Spanish colonial government were aggressively suppressing revolutionary activities to maintain control over the Philippines. Although they were not nationally famous leaders like Rizal or Bonifacio, the Tres Martires represent the ordinary Filipinos who played an important role in the struggle for independence. So now, as a future teacher or as a future educators, Rizal teaches us to promote critical thinking, and Bonifacio inspires students' participation. Gomborza reminds us to teach values and ethics. And also, Melchora Aquino encourages service learning. So now let's proceed to the K terms and concept. First, Republic Act number 1425, or also known as the Rizal Law. A law requiring, or this act requiring, the study of Rizal's life and works. Its purpose is to strengthen nationalism and patriotism. Next is nationalism. It is a love and loyalty to one's nation, shown through unity and resistance against foreign rule. Next, patriotism. It is an active love for country expressed through service, obedience to laws, and social responsibility. Next is intellectual resistance. It is opposing oppression through ideas, education, and writing instead of violence. Next is revolutionary leadership. It is a guiding and organizing people to fight for independence through collective action. Military heroism is a courage and leadership shown in armed struggles to defend the nation. Next is moral heroism is standing for truth and justice even at great personal cost. Civic heroism is serving the community through nonviolent means such as aid, support, and organization. Katipunan, a revolutionary organization founded by Bonifacio to end Spanish rule. Filipino identity, a shared sense of nationhood shaped by history, struggle, and heroism. So in conclusion, Rizal and other Filipino heroes represent in many ways freedom and nationhood were achieved. Rizal showed that ideas, education, and moral courage can awaken a Filipino consciousness, while heroes like Andres Bonifacio and the Katipunan proved that decisive action and unity were necessary to fight oppression. Together, they demonstrated intellectual, moral, civic, and military heroism, each playing an important role in struggle for independence. Their sacrifices shape Filipino identity, strengthen nationalism and patriotism, and continue to remind Filipinos that loving one's country means serving it with courage, integrity, and responsibility one can. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. Keep studying, keep reflecting, and I'm confident that you will succeed in life.